Okay.
Thanks.
Long day.
Yes.
It's nice to see you back. And we got cookies and some, and we got drinks as well, so good. So, this is our second PLC, and I know that, the last time we met, it was kind of, it was kind of a free-for-all. We were all sort of saying, I think we need to do this, and when I came out of the meeting, I didn't feel we had some clear ideas of where we were going
Right.
for the next ones.
It's a big topic and there's a lot of things to cover.
Well, we were talking about assessment
Right.
and how we do it.
But we didn't continue on from there, right?
Yeah.
So I know, and we all working on our course, and I know after doing particularly activity number 8, when we watched the video and reflected on it and did the answers to the questions, that I thought, this is what we need for our PLC to make it really work. Particularly, we need to sort of set those working norms that
I
they
agree.
did, and then decide on some focus, and perhaps know where we're going for the next PLCs. And I think it's important so that we can then see, we can keep the PLC sessions going, and, you know, I just thought it would be a good idea to start back with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So maybe what we should do is sort of first look at what we need to do during these PLC times. We have a pretty limited time each week, 30 minutes really. So maybe we should take a couple minutes, like they did in the video, and record some of the things that we like to make our norms of what we expect for the 30 minutes, and
I like
for the
that.
follow-up if we have it like after school or at lunch sometime.
Right.
Okay. So Leslie brought some Post-it notes, so we can follow along and we can maybe write down some of the things, the norms that we would like to have within our meetings.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
I think that's great.
Okay.
So let's, and we've got a nice table here, we
Yeah,
can move
we can
out
just
so we
put
can
them
lay
right
them all
in.
on the table.
Okay.
That's good. One on each one, is that right?
Yeah, so let's do that, yeah.
Can we talk as we go?
Absolutely.
All right, so I just think when we go back to what a PLC is all about, it's to improve student learning
Mhm.
as the ultimate goal. So we want to learn, we're going to learn from each other, but the goal
To
is
improve.
to improve our student achievement.
Yes.
right? So I just thought that if we keep the ultimate goal in mind
In the forefront.
as we're going.
Good.
Really good.
Yeah. And I'll just keep talking while you're writing too. One of the ones I put is to have manageable goals or manageable focuses, so that it's something that we can do from week to week. After the meeting last week, I found a little bit overwhelming because I'm already having trouble keeping afloat, and now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm really having trouble keeping afloat. So if we have manageable goals each week or manageable requests each week that we can actually do and come back to, I think that would make our PLCs efficient and,
I was wondering if another word would be tangible,
yeah,
because manageable and tangible, because we want to have a specific, something to take away with and try and then come back.
that's a really good
Something
point.
to hold on to and,
Implement even the next day in our classrooms, because through the week we can still reflect on those things, but to bring it back officially or more formally at the meetings, that's a really good word, yeah.
And that's what I said was more than just sharing, because so much of it, we just share and it doesn't go anywhere. So yes, to have something tangible come out that we can actually try in our classroom, and see the results, and then bring it back and analyze, or moderate that,
Yeah.
that we did.
Because what might be successful in yours might not be in mine. Is it the French, is it the English, is it the JK, is it the SK, is it the teaching practices or the way we're putting it in? So, yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
and I also think that during the PLC, we're going to all be able to, if we're duplicating in each room, when the superintendent comes in and wants to see, okay, here's what's happening in this room, why would it be different from one room to the next as far as what what is really being carried on.
So common
So,
assessments.
so, yeah, we have a common thread
Yes.
throughout the kindergarten division.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the best ways to actually compare and contrast the students and what's going on, is by having some common thread, right, having that common thing. Another thing a little bit is just maybe some shared leadership during our PLCs, so maybe people could take turns, we could take turns sort of providing the cookies and sort of running the agenda, and, you know, sort of, so if we each did that, it would take the load off, but each week kind of share the leadership role.
Good monitoring
You know,
the time.
or organize, it doesn't have to necessarily be leadership, but yes,
And making
organize.
sure
and-
we stay on topic, yeah. That's great, great
Okay.
idea. And I think we've been together for a while, so I think we do have a trusting relationship already built. So none of us is going to feel worried about bearing our soul about what we're doing and what perhaps I'm not doing and
Or
perhaps
what's
what
not
I should do.
working.
Exactly,
Right.
so we're pretty good with that,
I
right?
think we've got the atmosphere of respect and care
Yes,
down pat.
but with that being said, because I know that I'm working on my listening qualities, that we can reflect at the end too and say what was good about, you know, or for me especially, like if I'm really trying to keep my actions back and keep my thoughts and let you finish your thoughts, so you can reflect and say what I'm doing, that's so good. Trust
I like
yourself.
that reflecting piece, because
Yeah.
then you can reflect on how did the PLC run, like how, and so it's the mechanics. Or
Mhm.
do we need to add something to the norms? You know, how well is it working for us?
Do we have enough time, you know, so.
And I think that's important to keeping the momentum going, because if it starts to fizzle out, it's not what we want. We want something that's gonna continue, and particularly with the FDALK coming next year, we have to make sure that this is, if we can get this right for this year, it's just gonna run right through next year. It's
Yes,
wonderful.
no, that's terrific. So I put, just written like our PLC norms on this piece of paper, so maybe we can just put those onto the paper and we can transform it onto one at a later date,
Great.
okay? And if we need to add to it, maybe after today, we can add to it.
Yeah, and I liked, when I saw the second part of, in the Activity 8 video, where they were posted.
Yes,
And it doesn't mean that they were posted here on the wall, because, but at least you keep referring to that and saying, this is what we agreed on.
I think it's good to even have like a folder or a book that will have, everyone have their own copy of, but we can maybe, if we're sharing things or sharing observation, different things like that, later we can put in so that, you know, you have your PLC folders. You can go
That's a good
back.
idea. Did you want us to have the same kind of folder, or do you want just personal, or whatever?
What do you think?
Oh, let's have the same kind of folder.
Well, it would be nice, like, if everybody has read, and we have a copy of the norms, and then if we have articles or things that we bring, then
Mhm.
that'll go in there as well.
We'll keep
That's
them.
pretty good.
Okay.
So I'll look and see if I can find some do-it-hangs or folders that will, we
Perfect.
can use.
I'll print this up.
Okay, that's
Okay.
great.
Good.
What a great start.
Right. The first pen, okay.
So that's the working norms.
Yes.
So if we can now look at the focus, and we agreed, I know, last session, that we wanted to focus on assessment, documentation assessment. So perhaps what we need to now think of is, what are the assessments that we want to focus on, and we want to carry through, so.
Mhm. I like doing these things on the post-it notes. Can we do that again? Because it kind of helps visually
I
with
think it's
the
great.
conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yep.
So, because the assessment was such a big, it incorporated so many things last week, so maybe we can tone it into what we want to start and then maybe build on. So what our next couple of weeks will look like.
I think assessment's really important, because we are looking towards the January report cards and the observations that are in November. So we're trying to gather the information, because I know I've got all kinds, because I've been doing standard tests and observations and photos and all those things, how we can combine it towards the evaluation, the comments that we'll do for report cards. And we're all doing those report cards now. It's not a JK and SK, so where we can go with it.
And I think that, yeah, too. Okay, that's good. I'll write down some of it, because I think that also will lead into common ground for our PLC. So like when we're keeping those kind of consistent, or we're sharing some of those sorts of assessment, then when we bring it back here, we're not having to look through 3 different types of, right? We're sort of coming from the same page, so.
So should we write down some of the things that we
Yeah,
use?
a couple, 2 or 3 things that we use or what we'd like to focus on, kind of mix it, see?
And do you want us to look at problems, or just the the forms of assessment.
I think what's working and what's not working and what kind of forms, and maybe we can sort
Okay.
and categorize and put into needs and strengths. I wonder if I should stop that for a minute and then restart it, because
Yeah.
Good idea.